Okay, so here we go. Anyway, guys, welcome to the help session. I'm happy that you are here. It is nice for those of you that have dared to turn on your videos. It's nice to actually see you. I feel like I spend way too much time, and I know you guys probably feel this way, looking at a computer screen all day. My eyes are starting to hurt. Anyway, so let me first share my screen. I have way too much stuff open per usual. Let's see. Okay. So can you all see this? The brand new exercise? Hopefully, yes? Okay, cool. I just need like a head or a thumbs up or something. Okay. So before we get started, the assignment, hopefully you can finish it by the 16th. If you have problems, guys, listen, as you can tell, I am being somewhat lenient. I have some students that really have sketchy Wi-Fi. I have some students that have, additional, just like I'm admitting other people, additional things going on in their home life in terms of childcare and homeschooling. I have other people where they've lost their jobs and just a lot of stressors. So I'm happy to give you more time, but what can't happen is I don't hear from you at all and I don't know what's going on, because at some point I do have to grade stuff. So anyway, just keep me in the loop and let me know what's going on. So this assignment, again, is ideally due on the 16th. That's what you should aim for. So both the website as well as the paper is due by midnight then. As I mentioned in class, which feels like a very long time ago, one of the most important things that you need to figure out, and what's actually surprisingly difficult, and you need to do it really before you can finalize your paper, before you can finalize your website, is figuring out what is your brand. So if you have not done this, you guys, I know I've mentioned this a zillion times, please complete this exercise. This is located under the instructions for the brand you site. And again, the whole purpose of this project is you are a brand, okay? You have to sell yourself. And every brand, all of you have taken principles of marketing, you have to have a clear point of difference. What is unique about you? And what needs to happen is when I look at your website, that needs to be really apparent to me, right? So I shouldn't have to guess, it should just scream to me. And it does this through literally by text, so the copy choices that you use, what your point of difference is, but also the look and the feel and the images. But anyway, so you all should fill out this worksheet. So it begins with, here's your target market. And again, the thing is, guys, this project is going to be different for all of you because each of you are going to have to do different career goals. Although I know, unfortunately, a lot of them feel like they're in flux right now with what's going on. And I'm very, very sorry for that. But first, again, identifying the companies, the type of jobs that you want, the skills. And again, if you remember at the very beginning of the term, I had you do an assignment that really, looking at job descriptions. So refer back to that. It should help you. But again, a big part of this is figuring out what do you bring to the table? And there's two aspects of this. One is your value proposition. Okay, and a value proposition, again, is your set of benefits. It is multiple things. So this is going to be your personality traits, but also specific skills that you have. Now, I know some of you have had a ton of work experience, some of you have not. That is fine. But I'm guessing a lot of you have, in fact, volunteered. Many of you have done work with your church or work with student organizations, and all of those experiences, you all have skills that you need to really identify and be able to talk about and share on your website. Now, within your, and again, so here are some things to help you figure out what are these unique things about you. Again, please do it. It's going to help you. But throughout all of this, you are going to have to identify what is this one thing that is unique and special. A point of difference isn't a collection of things. It really should be one, maybe two things. So for me, in my field, what differentiates me is that my expertise is digital marketing and social media, okay? And so my pictures, all of that, my information is consistent with that. So again, you all need to come up with that thing. And so again, to help you and to help develop your website, you need to think about skills or experiences that back that up. and really identify. And again, if a lot of you are struggling with what your point of difference is, think back to what your skills are, what your experiences are to help figure that out. So it might be good just to kind of create this master list of experiences, jobs, skills you have, really sit down and then look at some common themes that can come up within that. Okay. So anyway, that's the worksheet. Make sure you complete that. Any questions so far on the branding piece to that? Hopefully that was a repeat for all of you. No? Okay. So anyway, let me move on. Yes, question? No? Okay. So let me move on and talk about the instructions. And I'm going to talk about some common mistakes. Can you all see my screen, the Brandy website reflection paper instructions? Okay, thank you. I'm relying on you, Matt. You were one of the few people with the screen, so thank you. You were the official thumb raiser for this. Okay, so let me start kind of backwards and talk about the paper, because I know a lot of you have already worked on the website, which is great. And then I'll circle back and talk more about the website. Okay, so as a reminder, all of you, here, let me backtrack a little bit. Okay, so let me start with the paper. So the paper, again, ideally shoot for 4 pages. If you're a little bit over, it's not the end of the world. We're in a pandemic, for God's sakes. It's okay if we're a little bit over 4 pages. It can be 1.5 spaces, that's fine. The first part of your paper, and what I want you guys to notice, first of all, please, I want you to follow the structure of this. This is important. So don't, make sure you obviously have the various sections in your paper, but use the headings within that. It makes it easier for me. If you notice, I've also given you a suggested page length as well. Please try to keep to that. One of the biggest issues is the first section here. First of all, a lot of you, understandably, one of the easiest parts of the paper is talking about yourself, right? Which is great, but you need to limit that and really distill it. I know that's hard to do, but you have to. So I want you again to talk about kind of what is one word that describes you. I want you very briefly to mention the skills and experiences that you're going to be using to justify your value proposition and your point of difference. And just tell me very briefly, why are these appropriate? There should be a personal statement, and this personal statement which describes you, you can think about it really in terms of what should be on your LinkedIn page. When you scroll down, you have that short paragraph about yourself. That needs to be on your website, typically in an About Me section, okay? But that needs to be in your paper. But very importantly, and again, I've highlighted this, is you need to, guys, this is a common mistake that students make. You need to explicitly tell me, I shouldn't be guessing, what is your point of difference? Come out. My point of difference is boom, okay? And again, it should not be a long list. You really need to identify 1, maybe 2 things that really, and again, the point of difference is what separates you from the rest of the pack of college students, right? And each of you has something. So think about that. Also, briefly, why you decided, and this is, I've underlined this, you need to explain to me, okay? And again, this is where you're really kind of showing me that you've thought through how these experiences that you've had all work to support. But also, guys, here's the other key things that a lot of students don't do. You need to explicitly tell me. So a lot of students do a great job on the website, but they don't make the connection with the paper. And I think some of it maybe comes intuitively, and they're not really just thinking through all of the pieces. So you need to clearly and succinctly tell me, okay, my point. So I just told you, for example, my point of difference as a professor is my focus on digital marketing, as a skill set in social media, right? So I can tell you the pictures that I've included, the verbiage that I've done, in my website, all of that is consistent. So you need to go into specific design elements and tell me, okay, I did this because, to make it clear that this is my point of difference, et cetera, okay? So that's important. Okay, guys, stop me if you have any questions. Are we okay so far? Questions? No?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So when you mean by headings, do you mean like personal branding components heading?
Or just
And
put personal branding. Yeah, personal branding, website, that's fine. Yep.
okay. And then also when you said earlier, like we have to have 5 experiences, can it be like experiences mixed with skills, or do they
Yeah,
have to
totally.
be?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay,
I
perfect.
just want 5 things.
Okay.
Okay. Just 5 things. So it can be certifications, it can be volunteering, or but again, but when we talk about experiences, a lot of people say my internship. Don't write my internship. Okay. Instead, I want you to think about it. What skills did you get out of your internship, right? So you need to pull things apart from that. And that's the way you need to think about your jobs. That's the way you need to think about your internships. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions before I move on? No. Okay. Next section. And this probably should be about 3/4. Typically a half a page isn't enough, but you can try it. So I want you, again, you are directing your website towards someone. So you need to describe who your buyer persona is. So you need to think back in terms of the buyer persona project and describe who that buyer persona is, just like you did in the paper. Okay, I'm not asking you to do all the research and bring it in, but you know, what is their name, hobby, just a little bit about them. Okay, then you need to tell me how your design relates to the buyer persona, which means that you really need to be thinking about, again, and for a lot of you, not necessarily all of you, it's going to be someone in HR. Okay, but it's going to be different by industry. What are the pain points? What are they looking for? And then how is your design going to work? Matt, do you have a question? Okay. The other thing, and this is important, guys, and this is really where a lot of students fall short, which is why when I was lecturing on topics, I would say this would be a really good topic to include, is that each of these sections, you have to go back into your textbook, into the lectures, things that we've talked about, and relate it. One of the criticisms that I've received from students is, why doesn't she give us a sample paper? And I totally get that. But the thing is, to be honest with you, there really is a limited number of concepts that I want to see. So, which is why I don't do that. But I want you to go back and think about what concepts relate. So we talked about usability principles. We talked about, you know, different website design principles. I need to see you relate that into this discussion here. Now, number 3 trips students up. Okay, so this is important. You need to have a landing page.
I'm
And we
sharing
spent a fair,
online meeting.
yeah, so, and we spent a fair bit of time talking about what a landing page is, and specifically conversion center design. So make sure you refer back to that. Okay, so in Mimic Pro, right, you're making landing pages. Now, unfortunately, your landing page is not going to be hooked up with an ad. That would be cool if we could do that. And you guys could do it if you want to in your own personal life. But a landing page, again, needs to not only have conversion center design, but things like a call to action, which is part of that, among other things. Guys, this is where people mess up. Your landing page is not the home page. This is important. So a landing page, again, there should be one focus on the page, and there needs to be a call to action. So earlier, I'm not going to give it all away today, you know, we spent some time thinking about what would make good landing pages for your Brand G page. So make sure that, again, it's included on your website. So when I click on the navigation bar, first of all, don't label it as landing page on your website, because that's not going to make sense to your buyer persona. I'm going to know that's what it is. Your paper's going to talk about it, but don't label it as landing page. Okay. But you need to have some page that has one goal, one focus, and you're driving an action. Okay. Now there's some things you can't do, like take away all the navigation links. That's part of conversion center design. We're kind of limited in the project with that, but you need to follow and discuss it. The next section in your paper in the website is search engine optimization. Remember, there are 2 pieces to this. So a lot of students talk about on-site, but they don't talk about off-site. You need to talk about both in your paper. This is important. The other thing that's really important that you need to do is, remember, within Weebly, there's the SEO settings. Go in and make sure that you are entering your keywords and meta description onto every page. This is very important, and I check. I have software that allows me to go in and check. So make sure that you guys do that. That's crucial. Also, I really want a good discussion on keywords choices. Again, putting yourself in the buyer persona, thinking about how is someone searching for you, right? So again, guys, what would be, just to kind of prove that you're out there right now, what would be some examples of some keywords that you would put on your website?
You hit it from the wrong side.
Connor, do you have a question, or do you have anybody?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Get your mics on, which is cool if you want to comment.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Do you guys have any examples?
What was the question?
Keywords. What are some keyword phrases that you should be integrating into your brand new website?
Phrases.
Your what?
What was the word that you said? Phrases?
Yeah, phrases, keyword phrases. So if someone is trying to find your website or trying to find information about you, what would they be typing? How would they be looking for you?
I guess qualifications, maybe.
Okay, so, but first of all, would it be your name in some cases?
Yes.
But a lot of you, let's be honest, have some common names. So it can't just be your name. It would be Connor, you know, it would be your full name plus what else? Maybe where you live, UNG, jobs. And also, if they don't know your name, other ways that they could find you would be things like qualifications, right? Would be things like certifications and so forth. So my point is, guys, for this section, you need to, you know, think like your buyer persona. So really, you know, put yourself in their shoes and think, how would they find information about you if they knew about you or saw your resume and wanted to find out more? How would they search? But also maybe someone just isn't aware of, you know, who you are, but wants to find someone like you. Now remember, search engine optimization settings, you need to talk about on-site SEO. So talking about keywords on the page itself, which again, you need to be thinking about for Mimic Pro 2, but also offsite. So which is all about getting those backlinks. So talking about how you can maybe go out there and try to get backlinks through all the different ways. So you need to refer back to that lecture as well. Okay, so this is a really important section, and it's one page that you can write a lot about, and I really want to see a lot there.
Good question.
Yeah.
Do our meta descriptions need to be the same for every page? Because I went in and added them for every page, but they're all different.
That's actually, I prefer that.
Okay, and I have a secondary question. How do we, all of mine are single words. How do you add in phrases?
No, phrases are, when it be, you can just type them in. It should be fine within Weebly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, again, it's just how people search, you know? And so, and it just depends on what the phrase is. Okay. Other questions that I could help people with?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for the buyer persona, we kind of make up a name.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to do the full-on research, but yeah, I just want you to describe kind of who you envision this age. Again, it's not going to be for everyone because everyone's going to have different career goals, and also every industry is a little bit different, right? So someone in a certain product category or even marketing, right? So if someone from HR and advertising, they're going to be probably looking for different things than someone that's working in social media. Right? So you need to kind of put yourself in there, and also the ages might even be different and things like that. So put yourself in their shoes in terms of what they're expecting, in terms of design, in terms of content and so forth, but also maybe how they search. Yeah.
Okay. And then for the home page and the landing page, do both of them need a call to action button, or is it just one?
Well, landing page, yes, definitely. But also a home page is also good to have it. But you need to be thinking about your home page, and home page and landing pages are two different creatures.
So like the regular URL for Weebly that we use. So whenever we do like, you know, like the HTTPS.
Yeah, that's your home page. Yeah.
That's the home page. Okay. So then the landing page is just something else, and that one has a button.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions before we get to monitoring analytics? No? Okay. So the other thing is, again, if you recall the very beginning of or relatively the beginning of the semester, I had you go in and you copied and pasted that code and put it into Weebly. And I said, make sure it works. The reason why you need to make sure it works is that you need to provide me, this is important, a screenshot that includes the date. So you shouldn't give me a screenshot. Again, when I say screenshot, I mean a screenshot of the Google Analytics data looking at traffic. And guys, you're not going to have much of any traffic, and that's totally okay. Okay. But the point is, I wanted you to go through the procedure, but in some cases it's perhaps surprising. And honestly, at this point of the semester, everyone's starting to check out other people's websites for ideas. And so you will get some traffic, but I want you to give me, and this is important, traffic that, spans at least a month and a half, ideally. If you can't, if something's wrong, it happens, but it's not the end of the world in your project by any stretch of the imagination. But, I want you to demonstrate, hey, I've collected data from this date to this. So it can't just be a week. And you need to talk about it. The other important aspect, though, and actually kind of what this section of the paper is, I kind of jumped the gun, I guess, a little bit, is you need to lay out to me, because we've spent time talking about strategy in this class. So you need to give me 3 objectives. So, and again, to backtrack a little bit, what is the purpose of your brand new website? What do you want to get out of it, right? So write 3 objectives, and your objectives, you have to write them in the right format, and you have to include KPIs, key performance indicators. So for example, you may have a general goal of, I want to increase awareness, and we measure that, and you're going to write different objectives in different ways for that. For example, I want to increase traffic to my website, or I want to achieve so many hits. Let's say I want to have 20 hits by April 14th, okay? That is a properly written goal. We have a date, we have a KPI, which are hits, so number of people that are coming to your website, right? And that's your KPI. So you need to do that multiple times, but first you have to think about, what do you want to get out of your website, okay? And chances are you haven't performed on them yet, which is totally fine. I don't expect that. So for some of you, you may have, I want so many downloads on my resume. It's obviously very early, but you can still write that and simply say, no, I do not have that yet, But the key thing I want you to be able to do is talk about how Google Analytics relates to your objectives. So the very least, you should have one goal that relates probably to traffic, impressions, time spent on website, etc. And you can use the Google Analytics data that you have to talk about that. Again, it's not going to be much of a story, which is fine. But again, I want you to have the experience that this is what companies do. You go into a situation with a goal. How are you going to measure it? You measure it, and this is what happened. Okay. Questions on that? Any questions? Does that make sense? Okay. So in the back of your paper, there's going to be an appendix. In the appendix, I want to see a Google screenshot, but also maybe any tables to communicate what your analytics are. That's fine. But again, the big thing, guys, I'm looking for is terms, concepts, including all the information I'm asking for. This is your capstone project. This is kind of when the rubber hits the road in terms of me feeling comfortable that you understand the concepts. So I'm going to talk about the website in a moment. This is how I'm grading it. So really, it's all here. 50 points for the personal branding components. Other things I need to see, and I'll talk more about this when we talk about the website in a second, is you need to have a resume on your website. Really, you should have a downloadable form. And some students kind of bring in the scripts. You can actually kind of like how it looks like D2L. You can go in and take a look at it. There should be multiple photos on your website, ideally. I kind of have minimum requirements, but an A paper are the people that are really going above and beyond. So for example, and this is not going to be relevant for most of you. I have a good number of artists typically. And so, or people who have, want to do something with their photography skills, their art skills. Well, this is your chance. Have a portfolio. So putting a portfolio, for example, Doing a sales pitch. I know in classes, for example, you guys do elevator pitches. Put that on your website. Put certifications, all of that. But anyway, I'll talk more about that in a moment. 40 points for website design. Let's see. The landing page is 25 points. Search engine optimization is 30. Monitoring analytics is 30. And then writing and grammar is 25. Okay. So anyway, let me switch gears and talk more about my expectations for the website. Okay, so any last minute questions on the paper?
I have a landing page question.
Yeah, it's fine.
So I have all of my pages going to the contact page as my landing page.
Okay.
But I also have like a contact filling out section where they can try to comment so they can book me.
Yeah.
Where can I put my resume? Because like I don't want it to distract too much from that, but I don't know where else.
On your About Me page is fine.
Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty
Thank you.
Yeah. Or in some cases, students have a separate link for resume. It really just depends kind of how much content you have on your resume. But a resume should be, again, thinking about usability. What's one of the most important things you want people to find and see? Your resume. So you have to be thinking like a buyer persona and HR person and usability standpoints. You know, we spent time, you know, I showed you the UNG website. We talked about usability. Again, thinking about what are the goals, objectives that UNG has. Well, they want donations, they want admissions. So in terms from a usability standpoint, those are clear to find, those are easy to find, although I would argue there's some things that they can do to make it a little bit better. But okay, so let me talk a little bit about the website. So you've already created it, you've done these things, in terms of content, and I'm going to show you some of the example websites I've given you, although in full disclosure, they're a little bit different than the things I want, but they'll give you kind of a good idea of what I'm looking for. So you need to highlight ideally a word, which is part of your point of difference. You should have at least one professional photo. I'm not asking you guys to go out and get a professional to take a picture of you, but what I want is essentially just a nice headshot. It can be creative. It doesn't have to be, you know, the typical kind of professional photo background. I just don't want to see you in a car, you know, like you've taken that shot with your phone, you know, and the seatbelt strap is over you. You know, I don't want to see you in a wedding outfit with, you know, it's obviously been cut. So that's what I'm talking about. You need to make sure you have a personal statement. Typically personal statements are on the front page or an About Me page. But the big thing, as I communicated to you, is that your point of differentiation needs to be clear through both text and images. You need to have a series of successful experiences and talk about them. Provide evidence. Hopefully you have pictures. Communicate those skills. Include your resume. Anyway, so landing pages we talked about. Landing page has to have a call to action that's clear. There should be some sort of what they're getting out of it, value proposition, using conversion center design. There should be an image on your landing page. And again, this goes along with conversion center design. Ideally, I would, again, stronger websites and papers are going to go beyond. So I would love for you to have work samples. Again, give me good work samples. And to that end, although I'm not requiring it for this, guys, I can't tell you how, you know, we've already talked about how important, so I have told you, but LinkedIn is so crucial. Please, please, please think about putting work samples, presentations, any of the certifications that you're getting in this class or other classes, put it on LinkedIn, but also put it on your website too. Put social media links. At a minimum, put LinkedIn and make sure it's visible. Don't put Instagram, Twitter, Facebook unless it's professional. However, if you are doing, so a lot of students are running the accounts for maybe like a student organization or a church, put that account. That is proof that you can run a company business account, and that's a great skill to have. As I mentioned, I know other classes, especially our personal selling program, is doing a lot in terms of selling yourself. If you have a sales pitch, put it on here. I think that's great. If you can have recommendations from people, put that on your website. Again, a lot of images and certification badges. I'm not requiring that you buy a domain, but it's something that you should think about. The other thing, and this is really a common mistake, guys, proofread your website. I'm guilty of this all the time, even, you know, in papers and articles. You know, we all make mistakes, but you need to think about your website like a resume. And again, if an employer, and guys, I have screwed up. Like, I've applied for a job and had a misspelling. So, you know, I've been there, and it's bad. So don't do it. But an employer basically is going to think, if you're not taking the time to really proofread your resume, your website that's selling yourself, what are you going to do at my job? So make sure that there's not any mistakes with that as well. Okay. So very, very briefly, let me just kind of go to, see if I pulled it up here. Let's see. Hold on, let me click on it, I guess. Okay, so here's an example of, again, not one of my students, but I can talk about it, and I think it'll give you a better idea of what I'm looking for. So first of all, again, notice everything is above the fold. I would encourage you not to necessarily provide information below. And keep it more in an about me page. So right here, obviously,
Hey, Professor.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be seeing it on the screen?
Yeah, can you
I
see
don't
it?
see
now?
anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Thanks for telling me. Hold on. Let me see if I can switch it. Okay, so let me do that, and let me go back. Here we go. Can you see it now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for telling me that, because goodness knows how long I'll be talking to myself. Not that I don't normally do that, but anyway. Okay, so again, just an example, not saying it's perfect, but it's really a good start. So with this, first of all, you all have to pick a template. Some templates work better than others. There's a template that I really don't care for, I'll be really honest. It's the one that's split screen right here. But that's really the only one. But again, you need to pick a template that serves your needs. They have their word. You don't have to list it like this. You know, if you just want to talk about one or two things, but literally put your point of difference here, write it down. And you should have an image that really does a good job conveying or is consistent with these things. So, and this, again, I don't know what exactly this is, but again, it really speaks to, I think, curious, really all of these things. It's appropriate. You need to, again, when you're thinking about usability, again, I'm not saying this is perfect, but you need to be talking about your links, where they are, social media, which is actually not on this website. About me, again, you can keep it simple, that is fine. You can also include more information. And then this person, they've included their resume on a separate page, which is great. But what they've also done, and I really love, is having pictures of, you know, what they're doing, and not only, you know, including a picture, but really laying out and highlighting. Do you see this? Analytic and investigative skills, problem solving, attention to detail. So all these other things, again, really making it clear that these are the skills and personality traits that they have. So this is kind of the things that I want to see you do as well. And you can do it in fewer, and you can have more things, and it's okay to scroll down. Make sure every page is working. It's good, you know, to have a separate link, or just having, you know, your resume here. And then typically landing pages might be a contact page, and that is fine. Although, again, they have LinkedIn here. You may want to have LinkedIn in other places. And I really would like to see a picture or an image. So again, this isn't perfect, but this is, you know, pretty typical of what I see. Okay. Questions that I can help you with. Keep them general, and then stop recording it, and I can get into more specific, maybe unique issues that you guys have. Are there any general questions? Is everything pretty clear in terms of what you need to do? Anybody? Are we good? Okay, so I'm going to, let's see, stop recording it.